All right, so this is probably the easiest way to do this, but I wanted to go ahead and give a little tour of my little shop garage area and how I set it up. So, uh, obviously, if anyone knows me, I'm really into cars, and I got some more outside. But um, part of that is I'm always fabricating stuff and wanted to set up a shop, and I really like machining, and I wanted, something to keep me busy and tinker with. So I wanted to get some real machines, and as you can see, I went with some really big machines. So I'll tell you about these. This is a 16-inch Springfield, made in Springfield, Ohio, and they kind of did stuff differently than a lot of other lathes I've seen. Some of it good, some of it bad. This is a really, really, really well built lathe. This one in particular does not have a lot of wear. It runs really true. It used to have a tracer attachment on it. I don't have a tracer attachment, but it did, and it's also set up for a taper attachment, which I'm also trying to hunt one down, but they're impossible to find. When I got this, it was like black. This is the paint that was on it, but it was just covered with years and years and years and years of grease and grime, and it was pretty rough. And the gearbox was missing half of its gears. There's a high-low section, and it wasn't shifting between them. And I got lucky. I ended up being able to re-shim the gears in the headstock and making it work. I don't know if I said this, but it was made in 1943 for the War Department. And so really it was only used for 2 years by the War Department. The guy I got off of was a farmer, and he said that his father bought it from a military auction after the war. This didn't come with it. This is a 12-inch Cushman. It's not a cast chuck, and it is nice. The jaws are a little bell-mouthed, but that's completely normal with these. I did have a quick change tool post. I don't know if I just had a bad one, but it wasn't very rigid, so I went with this setup. This is pretty typical. I think it's a little big for the lathe. I'm actually going to eventually either mill or turn down a little bit of thickness off of here so I can get some bigger tools in here and keep them on center line. It uses horse taper 4 in the tailstock. I got a steady rest with it. It's a really good machine. All these machines are 3-phase. I have a rotary phase converter there that's a 10 horsepower, and it's enough to get the lathe powered up. Yeah. So the other machine is a J-head Bridgeport, and I wanted to really, I'd like to have a horizontal milling machine with maybe a vertical head attachment, but the Bridgeport is like the gold standard with a milling machine. You can't beat it. It does just about everything you could ever want it to do. Super versatile, and that's what I like about it. This is a 1963 model. I got it from a place in Chicago, and it was in pretty good shape. I cleaned it up a bit. For anyone that knows Bridgeports, there's a timing belt inside of here, which you can see remnants of it right there. But it lets you switch between your high and low settings, and that was broke. So I ended up taking the motor off, the pulleys, this little brake assembly here. Took all that off, replaced it, put it all back together, and it turned out to be good. Yeah, it's just a good machine. I didn't really have to adjust the gibs or anything at all. It's really tight. I'm not sure, what environment it was used for, but there's not not a whole lot of wear in it, which was very fortunate. Trying to think of anything else that might be worth noting. I got some grinders. I got an 8-inch bench grinder there for grinding tool bits. I use high-speed steel for just about everything. I have some carbide tooling that I think I'll try. The lathe, I forget. I think the max RPM on this lathe is 2,000 RPM. So it, depending on the diameter of the workpiece, of course, carbide really likes to be spun a whole lot faster than high-speed steel. I'm sure you could use it, but I'm going to experiment with it on this and see how it does. At least, save me time from grinding high-speed steel. But yeah, and then I got my welders here. I got an Alpha TIG. I think this is one of the first generations. It's been really good to me. It's an import machine, and I've had no problems with it. It just works. I use it every couple weeks. And then I got a Eastwood MiG 135. I think it's a little underpowered, but it was a cheap welder, and it does what I want. I mean, I weld like 1/8 inch steel plate with it, and it does okay. That's asking a lot for it, but it does all right. Just my toolbox with a bunch of junk in it. I keep most of the machine tools in this other box here. I'm starting to gather a collection of, I guess maybe you call it that's all my lathe tooling. I guess my metrology stuff. I got the basics like radius gauges and micrometers, stuff like that. Test indicators. Once you get into manual machining, tooling will far surpass the cost of the machine. I got some really big reamers. Some big tabs. I also have some other cool stuff people might enjoy. This giant Armstrong C-clamp. This Greenfield tap handle. That's pretty big. I had a 3-jaw Bush. Was it Bush? Buck. It was Buck. It was a buck chuck that came with this. It was really worn. This 12-inch chuck looks even small on this lathe, even though this lathe is a 16-inch lathe. It actually has, it's 12 inches above the carriage, 18 inches total swing. I think eventually I'll get a faceplate for this and some drive dogs, and so I can get mount some bigger stuff on here. But that's what I like about this lathe. I wanted to get something big, American made, that I would never be limited by having something that was too small or not powerful enough for what I wanted to do. And I think this will do it. I think it's 54 inches or 60 between centers. I can't remember. I do have a manual for this lathe that was recently uploaded to vintagemachinery.org. That's pretty good. And you can see it's got some odd thread sizes, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's whatever because they have the 3 speeds here and then your tumbler. So I guess it's whatever they calculated to be. Maybe they didn't even intend it, but half and quarter. It seems just kind of strange. You can see this drive gear for the taper attachment. Most Springfields don't have this, and Springfield lathes are really hard to come by. I knew it was going to be hard finding parts for this if I ever wanted them, but you can see where people just made stuff work. Like, I'm pretty sure this threading dial is off of the South Bend, and I think this stop here, it might be LeBlond. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, this if I had to give up all other machines in the shop, this would be the last one to go. I absolutely love this lathe. I would get rid of everything else before I got rid of this. I mean, I love it. Power crossfeed. I actually recently figured out how that worked. It's kind of goofy on this, engaging the clutch state to go, and it was confusing. It wasn't like any other lathe that I came across, and recently finding that manual, really helped out. But so far I'm using skill building projects like making this machinist hammer on it, doing the knurling. This is a hobby. I mean, strictly a hobby for me, even though I have some pretty heavy duty equipment. Purely a hobby. I spend a lot of time making parts for friends and family, and it's a lot of fun because usually they buy the material and I get to mess around with it and make mistakes on stuff that's not mine. So hopefully this shows you my junk, what I got going on. Yeah, I guess I'm set up to do some basic machining. I can make round parts and I can make square parts. So there you go.